星々を燃やし尽くす諸行をもたらそう。
おお、あなたが私のマスターか。燃えたて騎士の魂よ、暴風よ舞い上がれ。
もう少し手応えがあると思ったのね。機は熟した。逃げ場はない。
英雄はいないと。
お任せを。
私見ました壊滅、これにて完成。宝石の余震をもって来世に暁を。
The long-awaited skip dialogue feature, which was previously announced, is finally going live in version 3.4. Story dialogue can now be skipped by section, with plot summaries and the main characters that appeared in each section. We'll be releasing an animated short. This animated short contains a very important part of the story in version 3.4. This short will come with its own original theme song. Ah!
Awesome. Nice. Guess we've got to go back to my hometown, Aedes Elysiae. It was a small, remote village. Nothing flashy, but far away from the chaos. And even though the village was small, everyone got along really well. There were also beautiful rivers and mountains, and even a forest. That forest was home to all kinds of little fairies. When I was little, I'd go exploring the woods and visit those cute fairies. When I wasn't exploring, I'd go play with my friends by the sea. We pretended to be heroes from the old stories and practiced our, swordsmanship. When we got tired, we went to lie down in the wheat fields until we got called home for dinner. I'll first show up in the familiar form everyone knows. When using my skill, I'll deal damage to one designated enemy and adjacent targets. The use of my skill also grants me core flames. Once I've collected enough of them, I can activate my ultimate.
Phainon can also gain core flames when he's selected as a target by a teammate or enemy ability. If he is the target of a teammate's ability, Phainon will deal even more damage.
When I use my ultimate, I'll create a territory and transform.
After transforming, Phainon powers up massively. Teammates temporarily retreat and can't take action, while he faces the enemy head-on with newfound strength. All the talents and buffs from Phainon's teammates still stay active to provide him with much-needed support.
After using the core flames to transform, I have access to the powers of 3 kinds of titans: Creation, Calamity, and Foundation, each with a brand new ability. Tapping into the power of the Creation Titans, I can deal damage to one designated enemy and adjacent targets. Calling upon the power of the Calamity Titans, I'll enter a special state called Soul Scorch. In this state, I'll force all enemies to immediately take action, during which I receive reduced damage, and each hit I take builds up the Soul Scorch stack. Once all enemies have taken action, I retaliate, dealing damage to all enemies and then unleashing multiple instances of damage on one random enemy.
The more Soul Scorch stacks he's got, the stronger that counterattack hits.
Using these 2 abilities also grants me an exclusive charge called Scourge, which fuels my 3rd ability. With the power of the Foundation Titans, I dispel all debuffs on myself, then use Scourge Charge to deal bounce damage. If I've maxed out the consumable Scourge Charge, I also slam all enemies with extra damage.
Once all his actions have been used up, Phainon will unleash one final blow, hitting all enemies before removing the territory. Phainon's technique is pretty unique too. Upon casting it, Phainon instantly strikes all enemies in a certain radius. If they're normal enemies, they're immediately wiped out without even triggering a battle.
Wait, all enemies? That's nuts!
This technique consumes 2 technique points.
If the technique misses, it won't cost any points. Plus, when Phainon's in the team, the technique point cap goes up by 3.
When I use my technique to enter combat, I'll also regenerate energy for my teammates. In addition, at the start of each wave, I'll deal damage to all enemies and gain Scourge.
Let's start with Silverwolf. After the optimizations, her ultimate now lowers the defense of all enemies instead of just one.
Oh, so it's AoE now, not single target.
Exactly. Meanwhile, she'll prioritize adding a weakness that matches the type of the first character in your lineup. Silverwolf will regenerate extra energy at the start of combat and the beginning of each turn. Next up, Kafka. After the buffs, Kafka's skill will trigger more DOT on enemies. And whenever a teammate hits an enemy target with any kind of attack, Kafka will launch a follow-up attack. After unlocking certain traces, the follow-up attack can also trigger extra DOT on the enemy. And using her ultimate recovers the number of times the follow-up attack can be triggered.
So basically, Kafka's got more frequent follow-up attacks, better efficiency applying debuffs, and an overall boost to DOT output.
And now for Blade. After the update, he will deal damage to enemies based on his max HP. When Blade enters the Hellscape state, he is more likely to be attacked, and his follow-up attacks will regenerate extra energy. A change will happen to Jingliu as well. Now she'll deal damage to enemies based on her max HP. Each time a teammate loses HP, Jingliu stacks extra crit damage. After she enters the Spectral Transmigration state, she'll also gain a stack of Syzygy. That means the Spectral Transmigration state lasts longer, and her overall damage output climbs even higher accordingly.
Won't their Eidolons be affected?
Oh, don't worry, Professor Anaxa. Some of our old friends' Eidolons will be tweaked to better match the revamped kits, making sure everything stays in sync. You can switch between our friends' ability modes freely, so choose whichever version you like best. You'll be able to grab Firefly's new look from the contract shop using Oniric Shards. Next, let's take a look at this version's banners. In version 3.4's first half warp event, Trailblazers can acquire the limited 5-star character Phainon. And the limited 5-star light cone, thus Burns the Dawn, will have a boosted drop rate. Also, a brand new 4-star light cone for the Path of Remembrance, the story's next page, is being added to the first half banner. At the same time, we'll also kick off a special warp event. The limited 5-star characters, Treevee, Sunday, and Sparkle are coming back. In the second half of version 3.4, we've got another round of special warp events. The limited 5-star characters, Firefly, Jingliu, and Blade will be back along with the limited 5-star light cones. Whereabouts your dreams rest, I shall be my own sword and the unreachable side. Limited 5-star characters, Kafka and Silver Wolf, will be back in version 3.5. Also, 8 new 4-star light cones will be added to the Nameless Honor rewards in version 3.4. Origami Bird Clash is about to return in version 3.4. Origami Bird Clash will replace the Seal Slammers multiplayer mode and become the new long-term co-op game mode. Our old friend Gift of Odyssey returns as usual in version 3.4.
Nice!
The Planar Fissure and Realm of the Strange events will also return. Complete the challenges to get double rewards.
In version 3.4, Stagnant Shadow, Shape of Cinders, will also come online. And you can obtain the Ascension material, Charred Bud of Twilight, for wind characters upon completing the challenge.
The Planar Ornaments, Arcadia of Woven Dreams, and Revelry by the Sea will also come online.
Why did my seat collapse?
The annual HoYo Fest Offline exhibition will begin in July. This year's event venues have been completely upgraded, and the events will be held in core cities in 6 Southeast Asian countries.
Honkai Star Rail will be joining Anime EXPO this July. Come visit the Star Rail booth and claim free limited gifts.
A special panel for Honkai Star Rail will also be held at Anime EXPO, featuring several special guests.
It's said that the Holy Grail is a wish-granting chalice that can manifest any miracle. And the Holy Grail War is a magecraft ritual for obtaining that power. As long as you win in the brutal contest of the Holy Grail War, the Grail can fulfill your wishes.
Who's participating?
To start off, the owner of the Radiant Feldspar, dear Trailblazer, will be participating. Miss Robin will also be a part of this war.
Paniconian shareholder, the Interastral Peace Corporation's Strategic Investment Department sent me as their representative in the war.
Boodle will also participate in this Holy Grail war. Saber, Archer, and Lancer. Here's a reminder that the Honkai Star Rail and Fate Stay Night Unlimited Blade Works collaboration Trailblaze Continuance, Sweet Dreams, and the Holy Grail will officially start on July 11th.
いつでも出陣できます。燃えた騎士の魂よ。はっ。ストライクエア。フィスカイバー。霊剣解放。
Saber is a wind character following the path of destruction. Saber will gain a certain amount of core resonance when she enters battle. If she uses her technique in the overworld, Saber will obtain combat buffs and also more core resonances after entering battle. When she uses her basic attack, she can deal damage to a single enemy. When she uses her skill, Saber will deal damage to one designated enemy and its adjacent targets. If Saber has enough core resonance at that time, she'll consume core resonance to regenerate massive amounts of energy for herself and increase her skill's damage.
In other words, you need to accumulate as much core resonance as possible to increase the damage Saber deals.
Whenever any ally uses their ultimate, Saber obtains core resonance and increases her own damage dealt.
When using her ultimate, Saber will deal damage to all enemies and turn her basic attack into enhanced basic attack. Her enhanced basic attack can damage all enemies and provide Saber with a certain amount of core resonance. Also, during battle, if the sum of Saber's energy and the energy she can regenerate via consuming core resonance exceeds the amount of energy she needs to use her ultimate, Saber will immediately take action.
So if you replenish core resonance in as many ways as possible, you can use Excalibur more frequently.
I am the bone of my soul. Unlimited Blade Works!
Archer is a quantum character following the path of the hunt. When he uses his basic attack, Archer can deal damage to one designated enemy. When using his skill, Archer will consume 2 skill points to enter the circuit connection state, dealing damage to one designated enemy. While in the circuit connection state, Archer's turn will not end after he uses his skill, and he can continue to use his skill until he runs out of skill points.
Heads up! The more times you use his skill consecutively, the more damage Archer deals to enemies. After all, everyone knows that a dual-wielding fighter who can't use their noble phantasm isn't a good archer. And then using his ultimate, Archer will recite the classic chant to activate Unlimited Blade Works, dealing damage to one enemy.
Apart from damaging the enemy, Archer's ultimate also grants him Special Charge. After any of his teammates' attacks, Archer will consume Special Charge to use a follow-up attack against the enemy targets, while also recovering 1 skill point for the team. When he uses his technique to enter battle, Archer will deal damage to all enemies and obtain Special Charge.
Big news for everyone. From when the Collab event starts on July 11th and until the end of version 3.6, Trailblazers can log into the game to claim the limited 5-star Collab character Archer for free!
Nice! Awesome!
Later this year, Trailblazers will get another brand new limited 5-star character totally for free! Besides claiming Archer for free, Trailblazers can also directly obtain a set amount of character enhancement materials for Archer. Once the collab starts on July 11th, Trailblazers can use Star Rail special passes in the character collaboration warps Excalibur Excelsior and the Bone of My Sword to obtain the limited 5-star characters Saber and Archer respectively. In addition, pity counts are shared between the character collaboration warp banners and also separately shared between the Light Cone collaboration banners. but neither carries over to other types of warps. It's worth mentioning here that the character and Lycone collab banners will stay open long-term after the event starts. These collab banners will run across multiple versions with no fixed end date yet. Throughout the entire duration of version 3.4, using Star Rail special passes for your warps will bring some special limited time discounts. After the collab event starts, when Trailblazers spend the designated number of Star Rail special passes, they can directly obtain the limited 5-star light cone, the hell where ideals burn.
これからマスターになる開拓者の皆さん、こんばんは。セーバー役のカスメ役です。
これからマスターになる開拓者の皆さん、こんばんは。
In order to showcase the Holy Grail War from multiple angles and levels, the organizers say that they've also prepared another combat-filled program, Fate's Stay Night. The genius Schoolum made some modifications to the Holy Grail. Now, the Grail can load the simulated data of past striders through the user's memories. Trailblazers will face off against many familiar and old friends in intense V1 battles. Bye-bye.
See you next time, guys.
See you next time.
Bye.